In the same 24-hour news cycle where we had to hear Dana White saying, without any embarrassment I guess, that he had to Google the facts about World War II to prove that Bryce Mitchell was indeed stupid and ignorant, we also heard Ray Longo talking about how Bryce Mitchell was off the wall, that he had to be suffering from some sort of mental illness because of the opinions that he holds about the mustache man and the wonder that is Israel and its people. So Sean Strickland has weighed into the middle of this argument last night after hearing the news that Donald Trump plans to expel all the Palestinians from Gaza, clean it up for wealthy Jewish settlers to move in.
You are an infection. Everything that is wrong with the world is because of fucking you.
So Sean has taken offense to that because at the end of the day, it's supposed to be America first or something like that, right? Before we dive into this jumbled up mess, if you can do me a favor and subscribe and put on the notifications, I'd really appreciate that. See, can we get some more eyes on the channel? Cheers. Trump's Gaza plan is so outrageous, it might just be part of something bigger. Really? You think? This is what former UFC champion Sean Strickland took offense to last night. Went to Twitter and said, American people want nothing to do with Gaza. Rebuild America first. America first. This isn't America first. I can remember mentioning this during a live stream during the election cycle a few months ago, and people were like condemning me. Oh, you're black-pilled. Trump is going to set it right. He's going to put woke back in its box. DEI is gone forever. There's going to be huge tax breaks. The price of gas and groceries is going to come down. This is going to be America first. This is going to be the greatest tenure of all time, right? I'm watching these monumental MAGA movements happen in the likes of Madison Square Gardens, and me, like everybody else, couldn't help noticing that a lot of the emphasis was on a certain small country that is in the news a lot and that you're not allowed to talk about, as Bryce Mitchell found out last week.
Let me hear you cheer if you support Israel. Let me hear you cheer if you support Israel.
That's gross.
So I get totally where Sean Strickland is coming from, and he is vocal about everything. He's all over the map. He's very clever about who he doesn't upset, because he doesn't really have a problem criticizing the likes of Islam. Viral tweets, people going after him. No problem for Sean. He doesn't have a problem going after Catholicism. Viral tweet here, no problem whatsoever. Even though he was completely wrong, this person wasn't even Catholic, but fine. But with his criticism of Trump's Gaza plan as of last night, he's edging closer to they who shan't be named. And we saw this after Dana White came out and condemned what Bryce Mitchell was saying on his podcast. And people posed the question, who's writing the script for you? Why are you saying this? And in terms of fairness and being honest, we had Ariel answer the question.
Afterwards, people are like, he's just doing what his bosses told him. Yeah, fucking right he was. Yeah, you're right. Ari, there's a pecking order. Ari Emanuel, Mark Shapiro, who both happen to be Jewish. Yeah, of course.
We had Brendan Schaub answer the question.
But also, you got to realize who owns the UFC and why he acted so swiftly. The UFC is owned by a Jewish man. You know, so...
Dana kind of cocking out and not really answering the question and playing tippy-tap and talking about Google searches. How pathetic is that? And that brings me to Sean Strickland's initial response, which I didn't appreciate whatsoever in terms of what Bryce Mitchell had said, because of the hypocrisy that came with it. So he said that he wasn't defending Bryce, but the last 2 years we've been watching kids, missing limbs being pulled from the rubble from Israeli again, flying very close to the sun. We have been force-fed that Americans are to blame for these. The truth is complex and grey. Generations of hate on both sides. We can sit here for hours arguing about the cause and who is right and who is wrong. Bryce is a product of being on the internet too much. Nothing more, nothing less. I've been to Trump rallies thinking, wow, this feels like a Hitler speech. It is brainwashing. Find an enemy, attack the enemy, rally the people around the enemy. There's a reason why he rallied millions of people to do evil acts. Hate and fear is the easiest way for people to march in the direction that you want. Bottom line, you don't fix hate with hate. In America or the world, Bryce is a product of the internet. That's a sentiment I heard regurgitated over and over again, and there were certain YouTubers that thought that this was one of the most profound statements that Sean had ever made, and I thought it was one of the most statements that he had ever made. Product of the internet. So when you were allowed to criticize religions like Islam and Catholicism and Christianity, that was fine. But when someone else like Bryce criticized the religion that we're not allowed to criticize, that's just because he's on the internet too much and he's a product of the internet? How embarrassing is it for that sentiment to go hand in hand with Dana White publicly saying, you know what I did? I jumped online and I Googled the facts.
I found out what Bryce Mitchell had said. It's not like we got a bunch of lawyers on the phone and we didn't, I got on Google and I started looking up World War II. I got on Google.
What the fuck?
So Bryce Mitchell didn't read a book from numerous historians that have questions. He's just a product of the internet. But when Dana comes out and says that he Googled the facts the other day, all right, sure. Dana's smarter than that. And do not be fooled by the facade that we saw during the condemnation speech, during the Piers Morgan interview, during the Tucker Carlson interview. Because Tucker Carlson, the beacon of free speech that helped the wonderful MAGA America First movement, has all these exact same questions, but is just way more elegant in the way he puts them across. We saw him absolutely demolish Piers Morgan, who was just another normie shill who Googled the facts.
After the Second World War, which was like a liberation war, and you won, you lost all your freedom, and now you can't even express your political opinions or they put you in jail. So, like, how did you win? How did you win? Is that what victory looks like? You lose all your rights, your economy gets destroyed,
you know what we won?
By bankers,
we
and
won.
all of a sudden, oh, I won!
We won because I'm not conducting this interview in German.
I'm kind of retarded.
And Tucker took him apart last week, and it was beautiful to see. But because Sean is so outspoken, you can almost feel it off of him. He's almost humming with the anticipation of wanting to say something. He keeps flying close to the sun. So I guess Sean's in the same boat as the majority of people who played along with the empty promise of the MAGA movement and now realize that the peace will be restored to the Middle East when Donald Trump gets into power. As long as you play by the rules, you keep quiet and you leave. This might be a bridge too far for Sean Strickland. He might take that next step and tell the truth as a critical thinker that he professes himself to be. And we know what comes with that. We'll see a public apology. Maybe there'll be talks of him getting cut. But he doesn't like what he saw last night transpire in the news. I like to see Dana's opinion in terms of stupidity and ignorance when it comes to the 90-day suspension of foreign aid, except for that one small country. That sounds stupid and ignorant to me. That's weird, right? And that was before the insane announcement that we were going to go in and expel the people of a certain country so as our greatest allies can move in. Sean Strickland isn't liking that narrative. Dana is hiding from that narrative. And Dana is still banging on about free speech and nobody writes anything for me. Sure. I believe you. So just keep your eyes open in terms of looking out for Sean Strickland, Donald Cerrone, Conor McGregor, Bryce Mitchell, and every other UFC fighter that's on the roster, criticizing every other religion and every other ethnicity, except for one, that they're not allowed to criticize. Because you get cancelled. Just keep an eye out for that. I think it's very interesting. And it's very interesting to see where Sean Strickland goes from here. I think that will depend on the movement of Donald Trump, America First, and how many troops are going to be sent to expel people from their homeland for another country. How much money that's going to cost America. Let me know your thoughts down below. Maybe hit like, subscribe, and share. Cheers. I want to share my new Patreon. Any support is welcome over there. Keeps the show on the road and I'd really appreciate it. Cheers.